Okay, we are recording and we are going to get started with our Canva training. And the goal here is, well, I want to give you kind of an overview of how to use Canva. I use it for everything. So from ebooks to the workbooks that you see in our MFE, to social media, to look, I even did I'll do my kids Valentine's, right? I use it for all of his stuff. Yeah, I mean, I've created cards. I'll create cards. I've done business cards. I'll do, I think I said social media posts. Jamie and I, our proposals. So I use it for absolutely everything.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's a surprise. So what I want to show you today is take you through some of the functionality, but then also with a focus on how to create an attractive lead magnet, since we're going to have our content creation workshop tomorrow. And so I have Canva for work, and I think it's $10 or $12 a month. I'm not sure. I'll confirm that. I think it's $10 or $12 a month. But the reason I do that, so if I click over here to the left on your brand, I can load in there my brand kit, okay? Which includes, and I want to move this so that I can, there we go. Can I make it not visible? Is that possible? Wait. No, I don't think I can. All right, well, that's all right. It doesn't really, okay, I'll just do that. So I can load in all of my brand colors, my fonts. I've got actually our MFE brand colors. I can upload when I go out and buy new fonts. I upload them here. So and our any logos that I use. So it just makes it a lot easier I can create templates in here to use. So it makes it a lot easier for me. So if I go to, let's say I want to create a social media post. And I would suggest for social media, just having a couple of templates that you use over and over again. I wouldn't have a ton of different options. So let's say I want to use this. So what I'll typically do, let's say I want to use that template, and then I kind of make it my own. So, let's say I want to pop, I'll pop Stacy in there, right? So let's say, that's not going to work now, huh? Let me pop Stacy in. For some reason, that's not popping. Or actually, you know what I'll do? Is I can click on this and click on the back. And let's say I want to change it to a solid color, right? So I can change it to a solid color. Maybe here I want to write, maybe our website. Right? And here I might want to change the font and make it kind of our font, and maybe I will make it, let's see. Let's see. Let's say in your group, you're going to have social media Saturday or something where you want everybody in your group to share their social media post, right? So that's how you can, but see how easy it was because I was able to quickly pull up my brand. So if it's for my brands, maybe I would use this color, right? And maybe I would use, right away it brings up my brand fonts, right? So it just makes it a lot simpler to do that. And you can switch out And then you can use this as a template and just use it over and over again and just switch up the content. So, and if I wanted to change the layout, so if you look over here, I can change the layout. If I want to add text, right, I just go over here and I can add some additional text if I wanted to, right? Which I don't want to do that. If I want to add some elements, so I can add in here, I can add a frame. So if I wanted to make it a picture, I can add a shape. So, you know, if I wanted to add a circle, right? Let's say I wanted to add that circle in there, and then you can hit arrange and it'll go back, right? So then it goes behind the text. And then if I wanted to then maybe change the color of the text, right? So there's a lot of different things you can do. Let's see. You can add shapes, lines. You can add, let's see. You know, you can add different clip art if you want to, right? You know, let's see, I'll mute you. Okay, so let me go back here. So to create, I've done presentations. Okay, I do all my presentations in here. So let's say we want to create, like, here's our, no, that's my, like, here's an ebook. It's going to clock for a while. So here's a template that I've created. And this isn't one of their templates. This is one I created. So I could plug in, and you can use, like I said, you can switch it out. And actually, I'm going to make a copy of this. And that's the other thing I do is I never, if I make changes, if I'm going to create another, let's say it's social media, I typically make a copy of it. Sometimes I will just type over the existing one, but if it's something that I might want to reuse later on, I'll actually make a copy of it and then make changes to the copy. So if you wanted to change this, right, you can look here over to the left at all of the templates they have for an ebook. And you can see that some of them have existing pages, right? You can kind of see the style. And sometimes I'll take different styles from different layouts, right? So let's say I liked this one. I could change that and I can hit replace. And then if I wanted to, right, again, since I have Canva for work, I can just change it to my brand colors, and I can change, I've got my upload, so you can upload your own images, you can upload your logos. So let's say I want to change the image, and maybe I'm going to use, you know, that's an image from Candace. So maybe she wants to do kind of design trends 2017. And maybe this particular ebook would be home office design, right? House of page, right? So that would be how she would make that. And you can kind of play, you can move the image around here, right? So that's what she could do. And if she didn't think that was popping enough, so meaning you can't see the text enough, one of the things that I'll do is I will take a shape, okay, put it over it, arrange, send it to the back. I'm going to adjust that a little bit. I'm going to change it to white, and then I'm going to shade that out. And I'm going to change the text and to black. And let me look at it's not looking the way I want. Hang on. Sometimes it's, yeah, you've got to get it just right. So then I'll just make that a little darker, right? So it kind of pops a little bit more, and just play with the kind of the transparency, right? Or I can make that smaller. You can see where you can center it. It lines right up, right? So that's basically how I would change the front cover, okay? And then you can add whatever kind of pages that you want, right? So again, this is a template that I used I created so that I can have some consistency as I create new content. And again, it's easy. You just, whoop. I don't know why it's sharing a giraffe. Stay. So upload, I can just drop in it whatever images I want. Put Stacy in there, right? So you can drag and drop whatever images you want. They do, so Canva also has images. So if I wanted a home office, I can search. And a lot of their images, they have some that I think are free, but most of them are like $1. I personally prefer other sites for images. Once in a while, I might take something from Canva, but I typically use Stocksy or what's another one? There's a couple of free. So for free, I'll use Unsplash or, all of a sudden I can't think of the name of it. Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S. For paid images, I like Stocksy because I can search by demographic information, and or I'll use Creative Market. And sometimes, honestly, Etsy. Etsy will have some really good images as well. So that's kind of how you would create an ebook. And again, you've got to find what kind of appeals to you from a brand perspective. And the thing about when we're talking lead magnets, so this is an ebook, but it's really all about what your ideal client, how they like to get information. So one of the things that I'm seeing more and more, so here's a good example actually. So because not everybody, we're kind of getting into this trend of, okay, give me your email address and here's a PDF, right? And I think the information starts to get lost in everyone's kind of download file, right? And so are you really standing out? One of the things that I liked that Colleen did, and if it's okay with you that I share, so like I've got media kit stuff in here as well. Like I created, here's like a media kit I did for like a speaking. It was for a course that I was doing for someone else. And it just kind of had my about me, a little information about me. So you can really create anything in here. But I want to show what we did for Colleen. I do all my brand inspiration boards in here. I mean, you can really create. Absolutely. I create all my Facebook headers. Here we go. So what Colleen did for hers is we did a planner. I'm making, you know, her brand is all about making healthy fun, working with the busy moms, giving them tips and strategies on how to help your family to focus on health, but doing it in a way where it's fun and it's going to stick, right? And it's going to create lasting change. And so what she did is she created this planner. Okay, so we had an image with, this was actually, I think, from Blogettes. And, you know, we went through and it's got a commitment page, and then it takes them through month by month, right? It gives them a tip. It gives them their goals. It's like a goal planning sheet. So it's really cool. It's very cool. It's very different. I think it's something that moms would find really useful. It's different than a regular planner. So that's something a little bit different. You can do one-pagers for your lead magnet. Some people do infographics. I don't do them. I don't even know how to read I don't know what it is. I can't read an infographic. I can't follow it. Maybe I'm just looking at shitty infographics, but I cannot for the life of me figure out what an infographic is trying to tell me. So this was something that Colleen and I were working on at one point. That was another, I can actually delete that. That was another one that I was playing around with different possibilities. This was something I created for my son, right? For his YouTube channel. So there's a lot of different things that you can do in here. So as far as what to do for your lead magnet, one of the things that I have found that's effective is that, and it gives people just a little bit extra, is having some kind of workbook, right? Not just very short, sweet. A lot of people are starting to do videos from an email standpoint. Emails that contain video, and I can't remember the statistic, but the open rate on emails that can contain video is much higher than just text. So if there's a video attached, people are more likely to open it. So video is typically something that stands out, but then, you know, you might want to give them a little workbook to go along with it. Like, for instance, I had my lead magnet on my website was a four-step process to business breakthrough. And let me see if I can find any of it. But I had little workbooks and it's been a while since I did it, so it's probably way back there. So, you know, there might be like these little worksheets, right? Doesn't have to be a workbook. It can be just a one-page worksheet. And you could even, you know, if you wanted to not have video or audio, you know, another thing is audio clips. But if you didn't want that, a one-pager, I think, is really good for a lead magnet, right? People want easily digestible information, but you also want to make sure that, I know we're doing Canva training, and it's not necessarily about your lead magnet, but you want to make sure that it's something different, right? That it's something that they're going to want to download. And I gave everyone that lead magnet worksheet to kind of help you think about it. But this was just a very simple, and this wasn't used for a lead magnet. This was part of my lead magnet. I had 4 videos, short little presentations, but it was basically, and I always say your lead magnet should be your best stuff. They want to feel like they're getting something really, people love free stuff. So I did like I said, a 4-day course, and they got a video and a workbook, and most people probably would have charged, $200, for that course. But I gave it away for free. But the whole idea is you want them to then take a bigger action. So let's see, what else haven't? Like, here's another worksheet. That I created. And you can, down here, so you can see, you can make it bigger. One thing I want to show you too, another functionality that not everybody knows about, is you can create your presentations in here. And I will find one. So, right, let's just take visual branding. There's a lot of pretty cool different options, especially if you're not good with, now it's not opening. Okay, if you're not good with creating really attractive PowerPoints. Let's see. No, it's not going to open. There we go. So you can see all the different options, right, that they have. And they'll have 10 slides in there. So they're kind of pre-made. You just have to customize them to your brand, right? So here's all the options there. And it's pretty easy to do. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. But so mine, again, I pretty much created mine from scratch. Right? You want to kind of break it up. I'll have an exercise in there, a quote, things like that. But if, one of the things I wanted to show you is this little TV here down below. If you click on that, it's basically a player where you can, and it's not gonna, okay. So you can take it through and you can record your presentation that way. Now, how do I get out? I gotta hit escape. You can record your presentation that way. But the one issue I will forewarn you about is you can only have 30 slides. So that's the maximum limit. So what you would have to do is then copy this over and create another and continue your presentation. And then you can connect the two, and it actually gives you some directions of how to do that. And you can combine them into a PDF. So that is just the one kind of caveat of when you're creating a presentation with Canva. I'm going to close some of these down for the simple reason that sometimes I think it makes Canva not function as well. And it slows it down a little bit. And let's see. So if I were to start from scratch, here are everything that you can create. Like I said, business cards, email headers, and the nice thing too is so here's another feature though, which is for the updated. You can magically resize your post. So if here's all my designs, and I'll pull up this one that we were playing with. And let's say I want to use this, so I can magic resize, and I can choose what I want to use with it. So maybe I don't want to use it for Twitter or Facebook. Maybe I want to turn it into, I don't know, let's see. Maybe I want to turn it into not a Facebook. Yeah, let's turn it into a Facebook event cover. And then abracadabra. It's going to resize the image based on the guidelines. And then you would just have to kind of play with it, right? So here I can make this bigger. You know, maybe I want to take that out. Make that font bigger. The other thing you can do is when you're playing, especially when you download other fonts, you can, so when you see spacing here, you can space out the text a little bit to kind of make it how you want it to look. Okay? That's another feature. Another thing that you can do, I'll take that out. But let's say I want to change this, and I'm going to make it play fair. Make it smaller. And maybe I want it all caps, and I can hit up here and it'll just automatically make it all caps. You know, maybe I want to add, let's see. Maybe I want to add, let's look at some of the icons. Actually, let's add. So maybe I want to take this and create an Instagram, add an Instagram. Maybe I want to add them all, right? Oh, I don't want to move that. Right, and you can even change the color of it, make it pop. Maybe I want to make it a different color. I can add a Facebook. So I want it to be similar size, right? Again, I can pull up my brand colors, right? And so then maybe I would add an Instagram or add Twitter. So you can see there's so many different things you can do, and you can, like I said, you can magically resize it. Leave, I don't need that. Let's see, what else didn't I show you? You can create custom sizes. Social media posts, any kind of document. I've done brochures, any kind of leave behind. I've done resumes in here. I did a certificate for someone. So you can really do absolutely anything that you want. You can create, so this is an infographic. If anybody doesn't know what an infographic is, I was talking about infographics. I personally don't use them, but it's basically showing data to your ideal client, right? Visually, I don't read infographics. It doesn't, if I see it, I'll go right past it. So it's just not something that attracts me, but maybe their ideal client, that's exactly what they want, right? I've done logos. You can do your LinkedIn post headers here. I've done cards. I've done my son's birthday invitations. I'll do our, like my Facebook ads. So if you go into Facebook ads, the one thing it doesn't have is kind of a checker for, you know, text overlay for Facebook ads. So if you ever do a Facebook ad, there are limitations to the number of, or the coverage, the text coverage on an image, but there are grids that you can use, free grids that you can upload, then upload your image and it'll tell you if it'll get approved or not. So, and if you say, all right, I don't really like that one, I'm going to change it to, I like this one, right? And because maybe you want to drive people to your Facebook group, right? Or, you know, let's see. Help me. I just want to delete. I will say sometimes the lines can be a little bit funky to work with, but maybe you have that and it would be closer to, say, that's not cooperating, right? It's not really, and so if you do pull up a color, one of the things you can do is you click here and you've got the wheel and you can kind of play around with it. If you don't have your, you know, Canva for work, and you can actually plug in your, so right here, if you have your color codes, you can, of your brand colors, you can plug it right in. Okay. And then maybe, you know, you might want a picture of, it's not a good one. One with more white space. I don't know, you get the idea, right? So I know I have one because I have a ton of images in here that we used. Right, so maybe maybe your Facebook ad is kind of driving people to join your group or join your Facebook page, right? Or you can drive people to your lead magnet. So whatever action you want them to take, right? Whatever the goal is for your Facebook ad. So let's see. All right, is there anything that, any questions you have, things you don't know how to do, or you'd like me to show you, or anything that you find kind of challenging? And I can go over that if I know how. I think I'm pretty well versed in Canva. I use it every day, kind of all day. I'm pretty obsessed. Let's see. You can add team members. I did that, but that got a little costly, so I don't do that anymore. But I do suggest, if you're going to be using Canva a lot, to definitely do Canva, you know, get Canva for work, because it just cuts down the time. It makes everything very cohesive to your brand, right? So I can pop in logos if I'm creating one of our workbooks, right? This is that lead magnet workbook. And it might come up, it might not. And I wanted to maybe add our logo there. And now it's acting a little slow. I think because I have too much stuff open. Where is here we go. I click on logos, and I can add one of our logos down the bottom, right? And let's say this doesn't, for this particular collateral, maybe I want to make a change to that because you can't really read it. I can crop the image. And maybe I just want to show MFE. I can do that. So if I wanted to put it up top or right here at the bottom, right? You can do that. I probably wouldn't do that because it doesn't look great, but right. So it's pretty easy. So are there any questions or anything that I didn't show you that you would like to learn more about? Or I'm going to close some of these down because it's making it a little slow.
Kelly, if you had, you may have answered this, but if you had an image, like I know I have a couple of templates from when I did one-on-one coaching with you. Mm-hmm. Where do I upload those so that then they're in my Canva? Like if I have.
So what, and I think I sent you some blank ones, but we can do it again. So.
But I have them. I mean, I have any email you've ever sent me or anything, you know, if I have it in either Dropbox or email, I have it all organized.
Well, what we would do is most likely, and we might want to change some of them. Mm-hmm. And that's an Instagram post. So what we can do,
like I'm realizing I have all the things in place. I think I need to do a little more social media around the planner. I have this beautiful planner. You know, I talked about it on TV, but I should be doing a little bit more, probably at the beginning of every month too, you know, and saying, this is the one that's this month.
Right.
Come join me or,
so
Live. Like I should just get all my content centered around that because I have this great tool that you and I worked hard to create, but.
Right. So I would strip off, right? We might strip off some of the text.
Okay.
And just give you, you know, kind of a template to work from.
Okay, because I also know we worked on like some blank shells and they have my colors, but I wasn't sure like there must be an upload button or something and then you can
for an image. Right. So what we would do is we would download this. So whatever we decide the template would be, you would download it and then you can just upload it like an image.
Okay.
Okay. And use it that way. Because I've done that even for my presentation. Sometimes I'll upload like other slides in my presentation. So we can do that and then you can just use it basically as a template.
And this kind of goes back to what Jamie was saying last week. And now that I'm more in tune, I'm seeing it on people. I never noticed people's Instagram, like when you go, that they look pretty, you know, that they're, that they've arranged it in a grid in a certain way and their posts are
I'd be obsessed with that.
I mean, I'm just like
a really good tool for that is called Planoly.
Okay. Yeah. I remember her saying that. I have that in my notes. Yeah. Okay.
And that will help. And I don't know if so when you look at it, it basically gives you an outline of the grid. And then you can move things around to know how it's going to look, right? You know, does it look cohesive?
Yeah.
And and I would say like for Instagram, I wouldn't have anything with text. I would just keep images, unless you're going to be intentional with it. Like, you know, at the beginning of each month, maybe have, you know, as you promote the planner, have, you know, So the next, you could even have March, right? You could even start with March and say, we're in March and then you can have your planner in your bio that people can link to your site to get the planner.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Say, get your Making Healthy Fun planner, free downloadable, right?
Right.
And so then maybe the text that you use is just, even if it's just, we can take a look at kind of your planner and see I can't really remember everything that's in there.
Yeah, and I should be able to, off the top of my head, tell you which month is what right
yeah,
now.
well, I was trying to think, like, it could say, April tip, right? And maybe mention what it is, or maybe the text is April tip, April Making Healthy Fun tip, or making health, like maybe it would be and and this would be, I would probably do that in white. And is that my phone?
She makes this look so easy, right, Brittany?
I know. It's like
I hear
I'm
somebody
sitting
talking.
around
I'm like,
for like hours messing around with. I actually did not buy the thing, like the Canva for Business, but it let me put my brand colors in. So I think maybe that's an updated or new feature. And then there's some other things that you have to upgrade for.
it could be.
Put my brand colors in there.
That's okay. That's good to know, because it used to be that in order to do that, and I know they've added a lot of other functionality.
Yeah, like my computer took a shit, so I bought an iPad Pro. And that was like the updated whatever when I what am I trying to say? That was the updated feature or whatever when I re-downloaded it.
Okay. You're probably right. So, and this isn't the way I would want it to look, but you kind of get the idea. I don't like that blue. That's not the right blue. And that would be bigger. You know who's really, honestly, who's really, really good at this is Cami. So we have her doing, because even though I'm, although it doesn't look like it right now, even though I'm decent at this, we've had her do all MFE. So I just lost what I was working on. But so, you might want to do something like that, right? But not like this, because this is ugly. But, I would have to, when you say like spend hours, I do. I can spend a lot of hours getting lost and like making it exactly the way I want. Like I already know this orange is off, and it might just be actually taking this out, and I'm probably going to stop recording because unless you guys.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to stop recording if I can figure out how to stop recording. Here we go. Stop. Pause share. No.
Oh, you know what? I have a